Hello, thank you so much, Abhishek and Angela, for joining me today. My name is Chandra Juhu. I am the manager of the Recruitment of Policy Leaders program. And today we wanted to make sure that you had both an English and a French FAQ, and Abhishek and Angela have kindly volunteered their times to do the English frequently asked questions of the RPL program. So thank you both again. To start, I'd like to do a little roundtable. So if you could both tell me your RPL year, what you did before you entered into RPL, and what you do now. If we could start with Abhishek.
Sure. So I joined the RPL program in 2022. So not that old in terms of joining the government. And before that, I was working in the private sector in a managerial role specifically in the consulting sector. And I was closely working with the government in terms of developing some of these projects for municipal governments. So I had brief encounters with policy, and they definitely gave me a taste for it and a liking for it. So I decided, why not go ahead and pursue it full time?
Thank you, Abhishek. And Angela.
So I'm glad Abhishek answered first because it took me a moment to try and figure out what my RPL year was, but I'm pretty sure it was 2016. And before I entered the RPL pool and eventually used my ticket to join government, I was working in the private sector as well in a litigation firm. And now I'm a legislative counsel at the Department of Justice.
Thank you. Okay, so let's launch into our questions. And so the first question, I'm going to pass that to Angela. So Angela, how is RPL, or the Recruitment of Policy Leaders, different from other programs like the Advanced Policy Analyst Program, also called APAP?
So programs like APAP or the Department of National Defense's Defense Intelligence Officer Recruitment Program and Policy Officer Recruitment Program, as well as NRCan or Natural Resource Canada's Policy Analyst Recruitment and Development Program, these are all developmental programs, meaning that candidates are brought in and trained for a number of years and then placed in a team. With RPL, on the other hand, we form a pool that hiring managers can use to appoint someone to their team. RPL does not mean a guaranteed job, in other words. The developmental programs that we just mentioned start candidates at an EC2 or EC3 level and graduate them to an EC5 level. By contrast, candidates in the RPL pool are generally qualified for mid to senior level positions at the EC5 through EC7 levels. The RPL program has been around for about 20 years, and many program alumni are currently in government. So by succeeding in the application process and finding a position in government, you would join a community of passionate and highly skilled public servants.
Thank you, Angela. The next question, Abhishek, I'm going to direct at you. So something that we hear a lot, do you need to be bilingual to apply to RPL?
So the answer is no. You do not need to be bilingual to apply to RPL, and nor are your language skills assessed or considered throughout the process. However, as Angela said, that RPL is itself not a guaranteed job. When you are reaching out and I'm like reaching out to various ministries or departments and talking to various managers, there are many ECO6 positions that require you to have a minimum level of BBB in your secondary official language. There are self-assessment tests available, so I would definitely recommend you to go and have a look at that if you are interested in identifying more about it. Also, being bilingual in the government of Canada is essential if you want to go ahead and take higher executive level positions. All managers, which are ECO7 and above levels in the government of Canada, must be bilingual at least a CBC level.
Great. Thank you so much, Abhishek. Angela, next question's for you. So I have never worked for a government organization. Can I still apply to RPL?
Yes, you can. You do not need government experience to apply to RPL.
Short and sweet. I love it. Okay. The next, I'll just stay with you, Angela, because that one was short. So similar question. My policy experience is limited. Can I still apply to RPL?
So you can still apply even if your policy experience is limited. However, policy experience is a requirement of the program. You can demonstrate your policy experience in a variety of ways. These include past personal experiences engaging with specific policies, community-based research, studies, presentations, or even publications, or volunteering that involved creating and implementing programs or policies. However you decide to show your policy experience, just ensure that it is well documented and that you can speak to the impact of your contributions.
Thanks, Angela. Abhishek, next question's for you. Most of my experience is outside of Canada. Will this affect my chances of getting into RPL?
Well, essentially, that is my life story. The geographical location of where you obtain your experience or your previous education will not affect your chances of getting into RPL. However, it definitely helps for you to know the Canadian policy landscape, as that would be evaluated as part of the selection process.
Great, thank you, Abhishek. Angela, the next question is, I have obtained my master's or law degree or PhD outside of Canada. Is this a problem, or how do I show equivalency?
So the Government of Canada assesses diplomas from outside of the country against Canadian education standards. The Canadian Information Centre for International Credentials, otherwise known as CICIC, assists persons who wish to obtain an assessment of their educational, professional, and occupational credentials by referring them to the appropriate organizations. So you can find more information on the Public Service Commission of Canada website entitled Foreign Credential Validation Against Canadian Standards.
Great. Thank you, Angela. Abhishek, this question's for you. So this person asks, I don't yet have my master's or my law degree or my PhD. Can I still apply?
So yes, if you're in your last year of your degree, you can still apply for RPL, but you will, if you go through the entire process and successfully clear it, your acceptance into the pool will remain contingent of your completion of the degree by the December of that year that you're applying, which for this year's cycle would be December 2025.
Great, thank you, Abhishek. And if you're okay, I'm going to ask you another question. So this one is, can non-citizens apply to RPL?
The answer is yes. Non-Canadians can apply to RPLers, but if you don't have permanent residence, you will need to be living in Canada. Please note that preference would be given to our veterans first, and then to those with Canadian citizenship or permanent resident status, except for the positions in Nunavut, where Inuit from Nunavut must be first appointed. In all previous campaigns, candidates who successfully made past the RPL pool have been both citizens as well as permanent residents.
Thank you, Abhishek. I want to shift things a little bit and talk about what happens once you make it into the RPL pool. So, Angela, this question's for you. I don't live in the Ottawa-Gatineau region, or the NCR, the National Capital Region, as the government employees love to call it. How will this affect my chances of getting into RPL and finding a job?
So your current location has no bearing on your success in the RPL pool. With that in mind, the new direction on prescribed presence in the workplace, government policy, requires that public servants be in the office a minimum of 3 days per week. Some departments have regional offices, but others are based entirely in the NCR, the National Capital Region. As a result, for those in the regions, meaning those places that are not the NCR, who are successfully placed in the RPL pool, leveraging your RPL ticket into a position can be challenging. Please note that there are exceptions to in-office presence, which must be approved at the assistant deputy minister level. So employees hired to work remotely prior to March 16, 2020, Indigenous public servants for whom working from their community is critical to their identity, employees who, with the permission of their assistant deputy minister, are working remotely 125 kilometers or more from their designated worksite. And the last category is exceptional exemptions on a case-by-case basis on a time-limited or longer-term duration. So this might be, for example, for short-term operational requirements or extenuating circumstances.
Thank you so much, Angela. Okay, Abhishek, this one's for you. So if I make it into the pool, how long will I be in the RPL pool?
So your pool will be valid for approximately 2.5 years, which means that if you're selected for 2025 cohort, your pool would be valid till December 31st, 2027.
Great, thank you. Angela, question for you. Can I take a job at an obscure department or agency?
You can accept a position in any federal department or agency that offers you a position, no matter how obscure.
Okay, so on a similar note, Angela, if you don't mind, can I accept a position that's outside of the EC stream?
Yes, you can accept a position outside of the EC stream at the discretion of the hiring manager and their department. So the competencies which you successfully demonstrated as part of the RPL application process would be considered by that hiring manager or their department and applied against the job description of the specific position. Since different classifications have different levels and steps, the most common practice for considering equivalency is to look at the base salary of a position.
Great, thank you so much, Angela. And the last question, Abhishek, I'm going to turn to you for this one. Will I be assigned a mentor if I make it into the RPL pool?
The answer is yes. If you are a candidate that is external to the federal government, which means that this would be your first job with the federal government, you will be assigned a mentor to help you navigate all things related to finding a position within the government of Canada. If you're someone who's already internal to the federal government, that means you're applying as an existing federal government employee. You will have mentorship meetings with the RPL alumni who will offer you advice and identify potential paths, but you will not be assigned a dedicated mentor because we expect that through your existing experience, you might have gained that insights that are normally new for employees or RPLers that are coming from external to the government.
Thank you so much. And a big thank you to both Angela and Abhishek for joining me today and going through the FAQ in English. I wish everyone who is applying to RPL this year the best of luck in your candidacy. Thank you both again. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you and bon chance to everyone.
Oui, bonne chance. Thank you, Chandra. Thank you, Abhishek.